Welcome to the Trading Raw Stories podcast. I'm Rita Pira, the host with the most inspiring stories that you ever did hear. Back in the day when the day was back, I was known as the juicing queen. I became raw vegan overnight after watching a documentary called Food Matters. Changing what I was putting in and on my body didn't just make me lose weight and have great skin. It gave me mind clarity, more energy, and over time made me so self-aware and intuitive that I vibrate on a higher frequency and level of consciousness that's turned me into a manifesting queen. I've lived like 9 lives and have amazing stories to share that may inspire you to finally leave that toxic guy you're with, quit that miserable job you hate, start that business you've been talking about forever, and at the very least, you'll probably start saying yes more often and eat more vegetables. I'm your tell it like you need to hear it and make you do it, sister from another mister. I've lived quite the life and have stories for days that have inspired women to transform their lives in real big ways. So I created this podcast to share my insane and unbelievable stories with the world to reach whoever needs to hear them. I'll bring on inspiring humans to trade stories with me, and I'll even have some live coaching sessions with listeners calling in. You're here because you were meant to find this podcast, this community, these raw stories. There are no coincidences. Everything happens for you, not to you, and I'm so glad you're here. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's official. We hit record. We're doing this. We've got our teas and our little elephant and grumpy and gorgeous. This is my group coaching program / podcast episode, part 2. So Shirley's here, Zoe's here, Rachel's here. We're missing a few people, but we're going to get started today. I'm going to pull up the forms that you all filled out, and I wanted to introduce you to Ron Interpreter. He was the shaman, the facilitator of the plant ceremony, ancestral, what did you want to call it?
I call it ancestral teachings because it's an integration of many traditions that come into the retreat. And we do that to honor all ancestral teachings wherever people are coming from. Yeah. So when I posted the title of my episode, he was like, "Can you change it?" I'm like, no. Just kidding.
You don't like to be told what to do.
No, I definitely don't. But I did it in a loving way, in a gesture of, honoring my ancestors, and she understood that. It's really beautiful. It still doesn't work. You can't tell me what to do. This is funny. Anyway, okay, so I'm gonna pull up the type forms. As I'm doing that, I'm gonna let Ron talk about something that the 7 questions. I'm gonna let you lead it however you feel called. Okay.
Beautiful.
Okay. So this is really, really powerful. I went through this workshop with him that he guided me through 7 questions, and we talked about this on the first episode of our series. And so he's going to talk about what that's all about, and hopefully in a way you get to apply it and get something out of it like I did. I'm going to let him just talk about it. It was transformative, really, really powerful for me. And I'm really excited to share it with you. So Ron, take it away.
Beautiful. Thank you. Well, the idea behind the 7 question is to create a understanding of how we are conditioned as human beings. We're conditioned in terms of our behaviors and the practices that we have in our life. And the main elements or the main reasons for why we are conditioned this way really has a lot to do with our life experiences. And like many other species and creatures out there, the majority of our conditioning happens at a younger age. And then as we get into adulthood, these conditions create behaviors, attributes, and traits that affect how we live out our life. And we get caught up in the details in our way. So in Navajo traditions, these 7 questions reinforce this understanding or this philosophical existence of who we are. And we call that AHOSIN. AHOSIN. So AHOSIN is a state of consciousness in terms of how we are aligned to all aspects of our existence, which is also inclusive of the universe. And so AHOSIN is to be aligned to the universe, to all of creation, and how we bring that into our daily practice that creates behaviors as we make these choices, the traits that we have. So there's like a totality, there's a universal relationships, because
in our actions and what we do, it goes back out into the universe. So it's like a cyclical element. We get from the universe, we process it, we then give it back. And so AHOSIN helps us to create a sense of sovereignty and a sense of identity of who we are. And that's all based on conditionings that we have in our experiences. So in our younger years, the major influences are these figures or these identities that we relate to, which is our mother and our father. Our mother and our father, or the essence or the roles of individuals who have been either in a father role or in a mother role. There are those of us who have a biological connection, a biological relationship that is consistent in terms of our bloodline. And then some of us come from a place where we have been placed in a loving care of individuals who have served in that capacity, but are not biologically related to us. And so we then project these father and mother figures into these individuals or whoever comes into our lives as these prominent figures. And then through their examples, through their behaviors, we then condition what is appropriate, what is inappropriate. We build morals and ethics around these. We build ethicals around this. So these 7 questions basically highlights these things, highlights these experiences that we have in terms of looking at the mother and father figure and identifying the traits that they've had and they've experienced. And then the aha moment is for us to see how we are very much aligned to that. The aha moment is we get then to see that these behaviors that we're having, both negative and positive, are actually conditioned based on our emotions and our identities. So 2 things that are really critical in terms of how we see ourselves and how we play out our choices is through the emotions that we're feeling into that moment, and also these identities that we create in order for us to model very specific behaviors in a way. So what ends up happening is we end up projecting these emotions and identities onto us, thinking that's all we are, and we get stuck in those details. So a good example is looking at a very simple way is looking at the statement of sad, right? So if you're feeling sad, you get caught up in this idea that I am sad. So when you make that statement, you become I am sad, meaning that's the totality of who you are. And you get stuck in the sadness and you build traits and behaviors around it because you don't see yourself any other than. And so, but there's a difference between I am sad versus acknowledging it, which is a feeling, which is I feel sad. There's a huge distinction between the two. If you feel sad, then there's an opportunity for you to change and shift it because it's a feeling. And in our Navajo traditions, when you practice AHOSIN, when you are in AHOSIN, feelings and identities are just that. They're registered things within our lives. They're things that register a sense of relation to the moment, capturizing, defining the moment, defining the scenario that you're experiencing at that time. So a really good example is if you watch animals, right? Animals are really great at this. They'll have a sensation. They'll live through some moment. And then seconds later, they'll shake themselves off, right? Through our pets, a lot of animals do that. So that's the idea behind this, is that they're not living in that moment. They're shaking that off, right? Who they are or what they are is completely different and completely separate from how they are feeling in that moment. So it's a very primal, very primitive response, but it's a very authentic response. What we do as humans is we get caught up in creating that as our reality. When I say I'm sad, I get stuck in I am sad. And I get stuck in that feeling. So therefore I build identities around being sad. And then I say, well, this is my behavior. I respond from this behavior. This becomes me. I make decisions based on I'm sad. And then as a result, it creates these life experiences that lead us down that rabbit hole. But what we do is AHOSIN is to see the emotion, feel the emotion, recognize the emotion, and just be that. It's an emotion. And then from that, we can then navigate into how we're going to make a decision. It's just a registered moment. If I'm sad, I say, I'm feeling sad. In this moment, I'm feeling sad. And then you can then know that there's this distinction between you and what you're feeling, you being over here, this being a feeling. And then now you can respond to that moment and feel like you can actually transition out of that moment, that you can create a solution to come out of it. And so that same thing with identities, what is an identity? An identity could be like, I want to be a good father. Ron Interpreter wants to be a good father. So my understanding of what is a good father, what does a good father do? What are their traits? What are their personalities? What are the things that make a good father? Then I live to those behaviors and live to those things. So there, but somewhere in there, I got to take ownership of it. It's got to be me as an individual. It's got to be me as a person who is developing these. And I see myself not as these identities, but it's me as an individual. So that's what we end up doing. We go through these questions in these series to explain that. And it gives us a process to understand things, to relate to things, to get an understanding and clarity around what it is that we're creating in terms of behaviors and traits, and know that we can release and let that go if they don't serve us. If they're very unhealthy, we release and let that go. When we identify those emotions and identities that are actually really in our benefit and our good, we learn how to expand it. We learn how to expand into those and lead that even more and leverage that experience even more so that we can manifest things and beautiful things in our life. So it just brings us to a point of clarity. And with Rita, we were able to do it on the medicine. So it's one thing to do it in a session. It's another thing to do it while you're on the medicine where your state of consciousness is so high.
No wonder I was able to answer them with such ease.
Exactly.
That makes so much sense, because you could ask me one of these questions and I'm like, I don't know, and we just like, I don't know. We like to say, I don't know. And then I learned in my coaching program that I'm in right now with Anat, who you just met, who is just here. She's like, but what if you did know?
Yeah.
But what if you did know? And then you'd have to come up with an answer. So I shared that with the group last week, I believe. And then what you were talking about, like feeling the feelings and experiencing the emotion, but you are not that thing.
Yes.
Right. So like, I am sad, or I am angry, or I wrote to you, like, I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling annoyed. I'm not saying I am.
Correct.
I didn't even notice that I do that. That's a good thing. That just shows that I'm like disconnected from claiming that I am that way when it's just an emotion. So I'm really feeling the emotion itself, processed it, got over it. And here I am, happy as a freaking clam. But I was like angry and worked up and annoyed. And I can share about that in a minute, but I just realized when you said that I was on the medicine doing that makes so much sense why I was just like flowing. You're like, you asked the question, I'm sitting there writing, just like magic, it just flowing.
Yeah.
But I also felt confident in those answers because of the work I've done up until this point, especially in Anat's program. It really brought things to the surface for me, and especially with like all this inner child work that we've been doing. So I think it made me more clear, but definitely it just smoothly flew out of my pen. Magic. Beautiful. So I actually have my notes here.
Beautiful.
From my 7 questions. This is the notebook that I have with my 7 questions. And I don't know if you want to go through them or what came up for me.
What came up for you, for sure.
Okay. So, let's see. Shirley wrote something in the chat. I want to see what she said. She said, instead of saying you make me so mad, I've changed it to I'm allowing myself to be mad or feel mad. Good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're recognizing the energy for what it is. The beautiful thing about this is if you displace that energy and you recognize what it is, there's an intelligence behind it. There's something waiting there. You look at it, you reframe it differently, and you look at it as an entity, as something that has an intelligence, has some sort of a spirit, and you're over here. So now you can relate to it. You can relate to that experience because you're placing an intelligence, you're placing a value in that experience. And when you place a value in that experience and remove yourself from it, you're not caught up in it. So that's a really great way to rephrase that experience. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. So, okay. Here we are. So the 7 questions. So he asked, we're sitting in the circle at the ceremony. And this was after day 1 where I was a nightmare and everything was like, I was a shit show. I was a shit show. Was I not a shit show?
You were processing. One of the things that I've learned growing up as a man is you don't confirm what a woman has to say. You just have to support her in that.
No, I was a shit show. I'm owning it. It's all good. So that first night, and then processing,
Yeah.
thank you
Yeah,
kindly,
yeah.
processing that, and then the next day still feeling it, eyes heavy, sad, crying, miserable, moping. Everyone's like, Rita, how are you doing? And like hugging me and being so sweet. And I'm just like, like I swear to God, I did that to a couple people. And I was just like just moping, just sitting in my dirty diaper. And so then later you came to me and you said, you offered the treatment.
Mhm.
And I took you up on that offer. We went and had that. And that's what really cleared me. And Shirley, one of my clients here, actually got to experience your energy treatment, which I would love for her to come on and share about that in a few minutes. But this is really, really powerful, because after I cleansed and I felt good and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to participate in the second day of the ceremony, because remember I came to you when I in the middle of the first night, I saw the bowl coming back around, like we had to take another dose of it. And I was like, I don't wanna, please no. And so when I came to you, I was like, do I have to? Can I please not? And you
She was being as eloquently as possible to get out of the situation.
Can you tell them
Sure.
about how you did the whole threshold thing? Explain that to them, because when I heard you say that, I was like, well, shit, now I have to do it.
Yeah.
So can you explain the threshold thing? Then we'll do the 7 questions.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I had to reframe it for her so she can see herself going through the process. And so what I told her was that this is your threshold in terms of how you've been resolving everything in life and how you've been showing up. This is the extent of it. So every time that you come with a solution, you're always meeting that threshold. You're always meeting that threshold. You haven't yet created a scenario, or you haven't created the choice to step over that threshold and get into something really new. This being the medicine. So this is her threshold in terms of all the things that she was doing and taking the medicine.
AKA comfort zone, familiar space, like, oh, reach the limit. Let's go back.
Yeah. So when you reach your threshold in life, in terms of your decision making, you're going to go horizontal or parallel to that to try to find a solution, but you're never going to find a solution because you're always going to be reenacting those behaviors. You can change the environment, you can change relationships, you can create context, whatever you want to do, but you're always going to meet that threshold. So what I was explaining to her was that she was in a state of consciousness, or she created a state of consciousness, a whole newness of who she is, right? Because the medicine increased her consciousness and her ability to ascend. So here's her ascension up in here, but she was still meeting the threshold in terms of making decisions and how to deal with the resolution. But her state of being was up here. So I was encouraging her, your state of being is up here now. So feel free to step into that threshold, get beyond that, and step into that newness that you are. So that's kind of what we were explaining at that moment. But I did it really simple. It didn't take that long to explain it to her.
Yeah, but you know why? Because that's what I teach.
Mm-hmm.
I always, don't I? Like, this is what I teach. I am encouraging all of you to step outside your comfort zone, do the thing that's uncomfortable, like say yes to something. And so here I am going, no, so I had to say yes to this. I had to, because then I would wonder, what if I had done it? Where would I have been? What would I have experienced? What new level of me is on the other side of this major discomfort?
Yeah.
So that threshold thing. And then me like deciding in that moment, okay, I'm going to do it. I have to. And then, everything else that happened. But after the energy treatment, and I got really cleansed and clear, and I had this stuck energy. So there was like no energy flowing in my root chakra, like at all. And can we talk about this, please?
For sure.
People say chakra, but it's chakra.
My pronunciation is, I always say chakra, only because of the way my mouth operates.
I used to say chakra, and then I was corrected that it's chakra.
Okay.
And so then I'm like, okay, well, if Shaman Ron Interpreter is saying chakra, then it must be chakra. And then you confused me again.
So whatever, if I butchered that word for all of those who come from that ancestral teaching, forgive me.
Oh,
it's just how we pronounce.
oh, he's so like nice and sweet and kind. So we're getting ready for this. So my friend, my coach, Anat, she has a program called Training Camp for the Soul, which I'm in. And she came over to my building. We have this like massage room. So I reserved it for them to be able to have the treatment there. And I had to take Frankie out. They were done. I was like, okay, let's, I'm going to go just walk him. And then I saw this place that I posted a story about, Takaya. It's a modern Mexican fast casual place. And every time I go there, they take forever to get me my meal. And when it comes, and there's no one in there, so there's like no reason why they should be so slow. The food, I'm like, are they stoned back there? What's happening? The food comes and it's always cold. And so I walked past and I was like, I'm starving. I need to eat something. My intention was after the treatment, we would go and grab a bite. We'd come back and record a podcast. And then we would do a little intro to you guys in the group and like let you meet him, ask questions or engage in some way. And then as I was walking and I saw the place and I was like, I'll just grab a quick salad real quick and, just eat and then get the ball rolling so we can, come back. And so I'm sitting there and it's 30 minutes for a salad. I'm still sitting and I'm like, you guys, hi, hello back there. What's going on? It's just a salad. Like, what is happening? And so it comes, and please go look at my story. Seriously, the photo of what I received is nothing like the picture on the menu, like at all. And I'm like, for $14, $15, this is insane. And so I was like, you know what? You can keep it. I'm good. I'm going to go home and make my own thing. If you want to refund me. Cool. And I just walked out. And then I came home and I had this quinoa tabbouleh that I made. So it's like, salad I shared with you. And I posted a picture of that too. I'm like, this is why I don't go out to eat, because look how pretty my food is, delicious my food is. But so I felt myself get angry. I felt myself be annoyed. I felt myself sitting there getting overwhelmed because I'm like, well, now I don't have time for the podcast. Now I don't have time for this. Now Anat is in my room doing her coaching group thing. And what if I start recording and then her voice travels over into my recording and I'm getting like all sorts of things. And I'm venting to him through text. He responds to me, beautiful. Just the word beautiful. I'm like, what's beautiful? Like I knew what he was going to say. I'm just like, what's beautiful? And he goes, you. I'm like, I wanted to throw my phone. So hard because, when you're in it, it's hard to like see outside of it and just go, okay, this is really not that serious, not a big deal. Feel your feelings, move on with your life. Don't sit in the dirty diaper. Don't sit and dwell. Don't harbor the emotion. And then I have you all to serve. So I'm like, I'm going to eat something delicious. I'm going to make my tea and I have great company and I love you guys and I'm so excited. And so here we are and we're all good. So cheers to that.
I got my elephant mug.
Yeah. So I'm going to pause and see if you all have any comments or questions before we get into the 7 questions of my own experience. Anybody? No? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay. All right. So we're going to just review what the question was. That's okay.
For sure.
Okay. And then I will put what I responded. And you guys already know this. If you've been in this group long enough or listened to my podcast. So question 1 was, list as many positive traits that you've seen with your mother and father. So your mom's positive traits, your father's positive traits. So just like listing them out. So for me, I put my mom was giving and just like flow, stream of consciousness, like don't overthink it, right? You just like, write down whatever comes to mind. So the first one for my mom was giving, nurturing, and big heart. That's what I wrote for my mom. And then for my dad, I wrote spontaneous, risk taker, big heart, outgoing, people person. So that was it. Easy, super flowy, simple to answer. And the second question he asked me was to list as many negative traits that I've seen in my mom and my dad. And so again, I just listed my mom, listed my dad. And so my mom, I put self-sacrificing, people-pleasing, worrying about what people think, scarcity mindset, things like that. And then for my dad, I put bad with money, kind of careless, racist a little bit. And he drinks, smokes, and gambles.
I see the unfolding happening.
Yeah. And then for the third one, transfer circles over. What did I write?
That was to transfer everything over to this.
Oh, okay. So then bringing everything over to combine those two columns of my mom. So my mom is giving, nurturing, self-sacrificing, people-pleasing. And my dad, you're supposed to circle the top two, or the two that were the most. Yeah. Okay. So I circled the two that were the most relevant or prevalent or whatever. So giving, nurturing, self-sacrificing, people-pleasing. That's my mom's side. And then my dad is spontaneous, risk taker, bad with money, kind of careless. Okay. And then the fourth thing was what I most wanted as a child and didn't get enough of. This was such a powerful question for me because it connected to what I realized that I didn't get from the coaching program that I'm in. I did this like inner child healing. I'm like bawling my eyes out, crying, pretending I am my 7-year-old self, having a conversation with my mom, telling her what I need and I'm not getting. And that's when I realized that what I'm writing here is what I learned from that, but it also flowed out of me like magic. Like that was the answer. And for me, it's words of affirmation and emotional connection. My mom is the biggest nurturer, self-sacrificer, giver, lover, but she never said, I love you. She never put her arm around me or sat me on her lap or said, you are so, kind and beautiful and sweet and whatever, like no affirmations at all and no real emotional connection. And I didn't realize that that's what I didn't get until now reflecting back, Anything to comment on any of this so far, Ron?
I love how you presented it. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. I was a teacher back in the day when the day was back.
Yeah, I think she won an award being a teacher too.
I did. It's right over here, actually. It's the Silver Apple Award in Arizona.
Yes. Where I'm from.
Yeah, Arizona.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
You're doing great.
Thank you. Oh, we should take the show on the road.
If they can tolerate us. And we have to take Frankie with us too, because he's becoming the mascot.
He really is. Yeah. So what I wanted most as a child and did not get enough was words of affirmation and emotional connection, which equated to love in my mind. Right. And then the next one was, as a child, I had these negative feelings. So what negative feelings did you have as a child? For me, what I was thinking when I was a child was, I'm ugly because I was bullied really bad. I was called Teen Wolf, and the kids would see me walking from, the park to the school yard or whatever. And they would see me and they would howl like a wolf. They'd go, ow, 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 ATW. Like they even called me TW. They couldn't even say the whole name, Teen Wolf. Like I had really massive eyebrows, hairy arms, I was super dark skin, really thick hair. And that movie was, I guess, relevant at the time. So I was Teen Wolf, guys. Yeah. That was fun. So I was like, I'm ugly. I would go home crying every single day from school. It was miserable. And so no one likes me. Everyone hates me. And that was me, trying to get everyone to like me in school and be my friend and all those things. And I also wrote, I have to be perfect to be loved. That was the perfectionist in me and needing to be approved of or loved or to, I guess, win my mom or my dad's affection or approval. And because of all the restrictions growing up, being a Syrian and, going to church, having to dress a certain way and, not have friends that are boys and things like that. So I remember telling my mom, like, so should I be a lesbian since you won't let me have like friends that are boys? And should I just date women? Is that what you want? I'm confused, boys are not allowed. So are women allowed only? And then she looked at me like she wanted to smack me. So it was funny. And then the other thing as a child, my negative feelings were poor. Like I knew we didn't have money, but we weren't poor, but I knew we didn't have money, right? Like, and I put, I'm not good enough. I'm insecure. I'm sad. I'm scared. I'm worried. and I was a brat and I shut down and I just like closed off. So that was my negative feelings. I don't know if I did that right,
I
but
think so.
because they're not all necessarily feelings, they were also like
Yeah.
experiences in a way, but they're also kind of feelings.
Yeah. So in this, what I ended up doing was coaching her. What are the feelings behind these scenarios that she's describing? So a really good example would be the idea of poor, because I can relate to that. So what is being poor? That's a scenario. It's not so much a feeling. So you have to look at that scenario, that event, or that life experience and say, what does it generate in terms of a feeling? So for me, poor was being the emotions that I had was abandonment, or abandonment also means sad. So I deduced it down to being sad. Being poor is associated with the feeling of sad. So you want to create the emotions around it, not so much the scenario.
Ooh, you did that when I was on the table
Yeah.
during the energy treatment with, do you remember what the word it started with? And then we like deduced it all the way down to.
I don't know the name. I don't know the word you use. Yeah, I don't remember the word.
It was so good though. Like
Yeah.
you had me really work back the feeling and the thought of what the emotion was. And what were you asking me though to work it backwards?
So the idea there was like, say if you use the word sad, you'll just use that as an example. So by repeating that and feeling into that feeling, sad, I am sad, you then ask the individual, what else comes up besides sad? Or what does sad, what images, what sensation comes up? And then sad may lead to, well, the image that's coming up for sad is crying. Well, what does crying mean? So you keep going through that process until it leads to the polarity of what sadness is. And then that polarity is what will be comparable to feeling sad.
Yeah, I remember saying disconnected, fear.
Yeah.
I don't know. So all these different words were coming up as I was just like feeling into my body, eyes closed, expressing my emotion, expressing what I'm feeling. And then him asking me a question to go a layer deeper and peel it back, peel it back, peel it back. So definitely, if you are feeling anger, okay, what would you ask them? So if someone is feeling anger, they're angry towards somebody, what would you ask them?
I would ask them to feel into anger, what images, what sensations coming up. The idea there is the more that you feel into those sensations, it brings that feeling to the surface. It slowly is removing you from, it moves you from the feeling. So the more that you speak into anger, it may come up as being sad. Anger may come up as being isolated. So the more that you feel into that experience, you're pushing that away from you. And it comes to a place that you can identify with once it's outside of you. That's basically the exercise, is what you're doing.
Awesome. Frankie's trying to be part of the show. Okay, so then the next thing was to list major childhood frustrations. So I was frustrated seeing my mom unhappy. I was frustrated with my dad being super strict. I was frustrated because I couldn't sleep over at friends' houses. I was frustrated because I couldn't have or didn't have any freedom at all. I was frustrated because I had to go to church every Sunday in Sunday school. And I was frustrated because I was told that I had to only date Assyrians or marry an Assyrian guy. And I was frustrated because we weren't rich and didn't have money. And I was frustrated with my dad coming home late or not at all. So these were some examples that came up for me with my childhood frustrations, the major ones. And then the last thing was to list traits or feelings that you have when you react to those frustrations. So the feelings or the traits that I noticed was I was sad, I was worried, I was fearful, I felt like, resentment, and like I was missing out on life and missing out on connections. Mm-hmm. So then the next thing that he asked me was to, let's see, when I'm acting out these patterns, I'm troubled with blank, or when these patterns are displayed or evident around me. Like, so going back to the second question, listing as many negative traits, right? So those negative traits. So when I'm acting out these negative traits, what I'm troubled with or what the patterns are basically people pleasing. When I'm acting out people pleasing, I'm having trouble with avoidance. When you see the behavior happen by others, it triggers you. So when I see other people being people pleasers, it triggers me. When you see someone being whatever way that you have trouble with, it triggers you.
Yeah.
That was mind blowing to me when I realized, because like, for example, Shirley, my love, is a big time beautiful people pleaser. She's like such a nurturer, such a giver, such a people pleaser. And it's like, I want to shake her like, oh, Shirley, no, but it's me too. And that's why, right? Like,
you recognize the energy. So she recognizes it in you because she's aware of the feelings, she's aware of the energy, she's aware of the traits that you're speaking into that are related to this thing called people pleaser. So she gets triggered by it.
And it's 6:44 on the dot. Hey, Shirley. Shirley is now, she's so in alignment and in flow with things. Like she's really stepped into this more powerful and independent kind of confidence that she's exploring and finally taking action on things. Whereas before it was just kind of listening, absorbing, but no action. Now there's so much action and she's like glowing.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I'm curious to hear about your experience with her treatment. If you don't mind sharing, Shirley, or do you want him to share, or both of you tag team this shit? Yeah.
So with the sharing, Shirley, you know, I always leave it to my clients to tell their stories, tell their experience. I want to honor them in saying that. So if you're willing to share, it's up to you. On my end, I'm complete. I really enjoyed what I saw and I appreciate how you worked through that. That's what I would speak to.
And remember, this is going on the podcast, so don't say anything that you're not okay with.
Hit record. Stop recording.
What do you want to know?
Well, just, you know, whatever you feel called to share, whatever your experience was. And if anything came up or something released, like that would be awesome to hear about, because it was really, really, really powerful for me. So I'm curious what it was like for you.
To quote Ron, it was beautiful.
Ah.
Yeah, I think kind of confirmed some things about, you know, that I do things sort of seeking love in return and don't always get it back. What you're talking about with your mom really resonates with me about the not hearing I love you. And I don't know, I try to go back to my childhood and think about some of that stuff, because she always told me that I didn't like to be held as a baby, that I run off. And so that kind of puzzles me. But I know she loves us, but she wasn't a very, like you're saying, the I love you, affectionate kind of mom.
Yeah.
But, you know, she was our Girl Scout leader and, you know, did things for us. But anyway,
Was there energy stuck somewhere that was released?
Yeah.
There was, when he was working on my feet, there was some knots or something. I remember you were.
Yeah.
So what does that mean when you have that in your feet, Ron?
So in our Navajo traditions, there's this association with the universe, that the body is a natural extension of the universe, that we are a product of the universe, so to speak. And so since we're a product of the universe, we mirror the universe. Just as there's that saying out there, they say, I mirror you, you mirror me. Well, we also mirror the universe too. So there are different celestial points on our body, or spiritual points, or chakras, or auras, or Ayurvedic meridian lines. There's these things that are on our lines that mirror the astrological elements of the universe. And so what I was doing with her and also with Annette was pushing those trigger points on the body that are celestially or spiritual lines or spiritual points. And so that's how we identify with the universe. So very simple is your feet's on the ground. So that's where you get a lot of the foundational in terms of your existence. And that's relating to Mother Earth. So mother is a very fundamental foundational experience that we have in our lives. So the feet being touched with mother is, where's that energy flow? Where is that happening? So aligning the body with the essence of mother then creates that association, that cognitive relationship of what's happening. So the reason why mother, which is a nurturer, and for you, it came up as love. And so we had to reground you in the essence of love by pushing that on your feet, because your feet touches Mother Earth, because it's the maternal nurturing experience that you're longing for. And it wasn't happening for you. It was something that was bypassing you, and it was coming up in a different way. So we had to work on those points of your feet so that you're receiving that nurturing a little bit more. In a really simple context, that's basically what we were doing. And so love came up as a primary need for you, which is a foundation. Needs are foundations that we stand on. These are things that are non-negotiable. There are things that we need in our life that determines our existence. And so when these needs are not being met, we look for it elsewhere. We create behaviors that we learn over time, and these behaviors gets us to looking for love elsewhere. And sometimes when we look for things outside of us, we have a tendency to compromise ourselves just to have it. So that was the whole kind of experience that we're having with this particular treatment.
That was a mic drop. Did you guys catch that last line there? Do you even know what you just said?
Looking for experiences elsewhere part?
Yeah,
Or-
when we're looking for love outside of us or external outside of us, we're compromising
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah. When we're looking for things outside of us, then we're compromising ourselves to access it, which leads to behaviors that, compromise our ethics, our morals, or values, or overextends ourselves, which is people pleaser, right? People pleasing is a behavior and a trait that allows us to overextend ourselves to the point just to see and feel validated. That's people pleasing. So the frustration is, I'm freaking tired, of all doing this. I have to extend myself just to be able to get you to acknowledge me, just to be able to, for you to see me. I'm extending myself. Oh my gosh, there's so much work in this. So that's the frustration, which will lead to maybe offering things that you may be outside of your ability, offering things that are outside of your ability to provide. And so that's where compromise starts happening too. So you're reaching for something outside of you. Whereas if you generate it for yourself and you feel into the love of who you are, then there's no need to provide that. There's no need to look beyond that. You allow that to come into your life. The more you bring those feelings into your life, the more you bring that into who you are, then the less that you look for it outside. Then it becomes you. And that's where law of attraction will come in. You become that, then it starts coming to you. It starts coming to you. There's a switch in the energy. Yeah.
Magnetic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, Shirley, do you feel complete? Anything else you'd like to share with us with your experience with Ron?
Well, that
Oh my God.
that
Frank.
song that came up that I sent you the lyrics to, there was a line that said, there never seems to be quite enough floating around to fill your loving cup. So that kind of reminded me of, not getting my cup filled.
Yeah, you got to fill your own cup because you can't pour into someone else's when yours is empty. And that's where you begin to feel resentment and things like that. And what you're seeking, Shirley, by doing so much for people and all the people pleasing and all of that, I can relate, because all you want is appreciation. You just want to feel appreciated, and that makes you feel loved. But then there are times where you don't even feel appreciated. And it's like, I'm doing all of this and I'm still not feeling full. My cup is still not full. And in fact, it's depleting you because it's taking energy from you instead of pouring energy into you, flowing into you. Yeah.
And I lived through that too myself, so I can relate. I was totally a people pleaser at one point in time in my life.
Yeah.
So I could relate. And it's really beautiful to see you witness. For me, it's really beautiful for me to witness you coming to that connection and working through that. Yeah. So it was great.
Awesome.
And I felt very light and happy and sort of airy afterwards.
Yeah, I did too.
Nice.
I really did too. That's why when he finished with me, I looked up at him and I was like, how much do I owe you? Like $1,000? Like truly, I was like, this needs to be shared with the world. And that's why when I had this idea to connect with him after, the retreat and whatnot, so many things flowed to us, like the idea for a monthly retreat, like first weekend of the month, to start everybody strong and light and airy and in flow and cleared and all of that, right?
Mhm.
And so that came up, and then I was like, we need to do a podcast. And I had been so like, I want to say lazy, where I would think about doing a podcast and I'd be like, nah, and then I just wouldn't do it. And it was like October, November, December, January, and there's like no podcast from Rita. And so suddenly I'm energized, I'm lit up, I'm in this creation,
Yes.
is what the word was that came up for me during the session and during the ceremony, and all of that was creation. And in my numerology, I'm turning a corner at the end of this month. So it's like stepping into a whole new thing. And I've never, ever, ever recorded a podcast and cranked it out so damn quick in my life. Like, and then part two, and then like, it's just flowing. So I noticed that treatment that really cleared me so much that I was walking around like I was floating. I was walking around like I was truly in alignment and one with my spirit, one with my soul, and really, really connected. I was like, I need this again. Where do you live? Can we do this once a month? And then the retreat popped into my mind. And that's how that flowed. Right.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, see, I go off on tangents and I forget the things we were talking about. So Shirley, do you feel complete, or do you have more to share? I would love to hear more if you have more. You're good? Thumbs up. Awesome. Okay. So the next part of the 7 questions. So we talked about when we're acting out these patterns. And for me, it was people pleasing and it's being avoidant. And then the next thing was, I've spent my entire life acting out these patterns. This is like deep rooted conditioning. So you go back to number 3, and these are the ones that basically showed up in my mom and my dad. Like me, I spent my entire life acting out these patterns of being giving, of being nurturing, of being people pleasing and self-sacrificing, and being spontaneous, and being a risk taker, and being bad with money. I would argue that I've been really, really good with money, just because I've been allowing myself to spend it like in it, like not caring, like it's endless, it's abundant. I have an endless amount of it. I say yes to things. I put myself in debt to become the woman that I am today, to join different coaching programs, to hire coaches, to live in an environment that really elevates my vibration. I legit like put myself in debt by putting things on credit cards and saying the words, it'll come back to me times 10. It'll come back. It'll come back. It'll come back. And it always does. But if I never did invest in myself, I wouldn't be who I am. There's no way in hell I would live in the apartment I live in, drive the car that I drive, have a coaching program and one-on-one clients, and a shaman sitting next to me. Like none of this would be real.
And Frankie.
Well, Frankie was after I left a toxic narcissistic relationship, and I declared I'm going to love myself and get myself a puppy. That's why Frankie happened. He's so funny. Can you this? Thank you. Okay.
Oh, and an elephant mug.
Elephant mug. Yeah. Okay. So then last, I think this is the last part. Oh, no. So then it goes, this is subconscious and underlying roots of your motives. So which one is that? Number 4. And this is your dharma. So the question number 4 was what I most wanted as a child and did not get enough of. So this is what your dharma is, your purpose. The thing you did not get enough of as a child, that is what you're looking to create in your life. So look at this, right? Think about this. Think about our coaching group and what you get out of it from me. or my podcast, listening to the podcast, what you get from it. And remember what my two things were of what I most wanted as a child and didn't get enough of: words of affirmation and emotional connection. So those two things, would you not say you get a ton of in this group and from the podcast? That is what I give because I didn't get. And that is what I'm creating because I didn't have. So what is it in your life from your childhood that you didn't get enough of? And where are you creating that? And if you're not, that's what you should be creating, because that's in alignment with what your soul desires. Anything to add there?
I think you did great. That's perfect.
Stamp of approval. Awesome. Okay, so then let's see, where are we? Okay, then the next one is when my needs are not met, I have these feelings or triggers. So going back to the fifth question, and that was the negative feelings that I had, where I was like, oh, I'm ugly, I'm not good enough, I'm insecure, I'm no one likes me, everyone hates me, I have to be perfect to be loved, and I'm sad and I'm worried and I'm fearful and all these things. So when my needs are not met, I have these feelings or triggers. So when I was at the ceremony and I was feeling like I didn't have an emotional connection, and I was feeling like I just wasn't connected, right? And that ultimately is what led me to feeling triggered, to feeling that inner child coming out to play, like it did in Costa Rica, where I was like, fuck this place, fuck everybody, I don't need any of you. Ah! This ugliness came out, man. It was dark. I was like, who am I right now? It was like the Rita before she did any of this work. It's weird. I didn't like it. And that's why I didn't want to take the second dose, because I was like, I don't want any more of this. I want to go back to happy, joyful, lit the fuck up, Rita. You know? But so these are the conditions, or no, when your needs are not met, these are the feelings that you have when you're triggered, right? And your needs is what Ron said to me. He said, your needs are primary and foundational to your existence. So like things like your morals, your ethical behaviors, or ethics and behaviors, things like the 5 love languages, these are fundamental things that you need in your life. Those are your needs. And when your needs are not met, you have these feelings or triggers. Your reactions when you have those triggers. So if I go back to the 7th question, list the traits or feelings that you have when you react to those frustrations. So those are your reactions. This is how you react. Like you're resentful, you're sad, you're worried, you're fearful, you shut down, you close off, like whatever your reactions were that you listed, that's what happens when you're triggered. And the one thing that he said to me that really stood out, that I think I shared something similar last week in the group, was that what you learned from your parents or from your childhood is what you learned, and you can unlearn it. It is not you. It is just simply what you learned. So he said, these are conditions that you learned and you can unlearn them. They are not you. And creating like an affirmation with that. Can I tell them that one?
Sure.
Okay. So write down this affirmation and make it your own. Rather than waiting, I'm dedicating my life to ... And this should be the thing that you were not getting enough of from your childhood. What was the thing that you most wanted as a child and didn't get enough of? So rather than waiting, I'm dedicating my life to that. For me, it's emotional connection and love. And so this way you get to create new behaviors, you get to create new traits, create new life experiences that are centered around that, and then create morals, values, ethics that are connected to it, and all of that. It just tends to, you basically create your new life revolving around that piece of what you didn't have. You get to
Yeah.
make that your whole life.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Why are you even here? Just to give me words of affirmation? No, I'm kidding.
I'm your shaman. You call me in. So don't discount what you're doing for yourself.
This is funny. Look at my brain on medicine.
Did you show him that?
No. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
So look, so my notes are, Frankie, I swear. So here, so my notes are generally like, okay, my handwriting is generally okay, right? Okay. But this is my brain on medicine.
It's all over.
It's like chicken scratch all over the place. I can't even make sense of it. Fascinating. I connected the 7 questions that he did with me, that workshop, and I learned that I needed emotional connection, yet I repel it. And it's also what I look for and look to create in my life.
Mm-hmm.
The irony, bro.
Yeah.
Why do we do that, Ron?
That's what we're conditioned, right? So we're responding to stimulus that creates a sense of ease, a sense of understanding of who we are. So we're always responding to stimulus, either as repelling it or accepting it. And sometimes, the majority of the times, what you're repelling is exactly what you're wanting and needing for yourself.
Yeah. And that's why I was pushing people away.
Yeah.
I wanted them to come to me and to support me, but I was pushing them away. Don't we kind of do that in relationships too? Like, you are dating somebody and you want attention from them, and then you want them to chase you, right? It's kind of like the feeling of being chased. Idea in ceremony to do a podcast with you.
There you go.
I wrote it down. It says it here, living, you guys proof. So
She manifests that.
you
quick.
said something that made me go, that gets to be an episode. 12 states of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is.
So in Navajo traditions, we have 12 states of consciousness, everywhere from basic analytical observation to higher states. So there's 12 levels, to the point where on the 12th level, you're just becoming nothing. You become part of the universe. And it's our consciousness, which is gained through meditation, different forms of altered states of consciousness. So there's 12 levels.
And I remember you mentioned spiritual experience and human experience, like 2 separate ways of being.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also mentioned something that is very in alignment with what I teach. The healthier your gut, the more clear your mind works.
Mm-hmm.
And for me in 2010, when I became raw vegan, literally overnight, for a whole year, I was only putting in raw fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. And granted, I was creating really beautiful things. Like, if you go super, super far back in my Instagram, you'll see nothing but raw food creations with like the limited things that we had back in 2010 compared to what we have now. And, you know,
so much now.
Yeah. And so within a few weeks, a month, I was seriously like floating. I was in college at the time, and the students in the class with me, I remember feeling like they're zombies. I was like, you and your coffee and your energy drink, I'm sorry. Like, I need to help. I wanted to help so bad, but I was so new to it that it was coming across as like preachy, and also like, I'm better than you energy, because I was young and, you know, didn't know any better. And so then I just kind of stopped trying to help people and let it just be my own thing. And then now people are coming to me with questions like, Rita, you were right. What juicer do you recommend? And how do you eat raw? How do you eat vegan? And I'm like, do you want to book a session? Because I can't tell you in just some text message. But yeah, anyway, so Ron, anything else you'd like to share with this lovely group here, or people that are going to listen to this on the podcast?
Well, I just want to echo what Rita has experienced, and beyond just the lessons that we're receiving here, that, you know, this is an opportunity for us to come together and work together. I'm really excited about that. And I do want to share why that is because for me as an individual, one of the things that I've learned over the years, especially doing life coaching over the last 5 years or so, is I love witnessing humanity's healing. I really like to see how individuals are shifting in these different states, and how these individuals, humanity is really making a difference for their lives. So in Navajo traditions, we're always expanding the universe. We as human beings, that's our role, that's our responsibility. That's what comes out of us, is we're giving back to the universe, and the universe is always going to be expanding. So how we expand that, or what our contribution is in Navajo traditions, is that's our gift. That's our gift back to the universe. That's our gift back to the world. Not so much just limiting to humanities, not just limiting to the ecology of the earth, but to the universe in general. That's our gift. So we got to see that whatever we're gifting, whatever we're offering, whatever's coming from us through our attributes, through our behaviors, through our professionalism, through our identities, the roles that we pick up, that's all leading, that's all giving back to the universe, you know. And so we want to be as authentic as we possibly can, knowing that's how big of an impact that we have with the universe. It's also the idea that we're breathing life into the future. We're breathing the life into the existence of the kids that we're going to be giving birth to, or the future kids that are going to be existing. We're creating their realities 10 years from now. We're creating the realities for the grandkids who are coming before that, you know, beyond that. So that's how big that we have to be and see ourselves. And so for me, witnessing the healing of that, witnessing an alignment with that for people is really beautiful to see. And to see the evidence of it, like even her treatment on the table, oh my gosh, it was beautiful to see in that moment, in that present, how the universe was showing up in different aspects. The wind coming at a certain time, when she was releasing and letting go, the disturbance that was happening, the disturbance in the force that was happening in that moment, right? All that stuff. So how the universe just aligns with us. So for me to witness that as a practitioner, and for me in terms of my capability to see that, I love it. I enjoy it a lot. And hopefully that we can make this happen for a lot of folks and giving them the opportunity to align themselves. And so the idea of doing a retreat, idea of working together is so profound. It's so beautiful. And I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. So I was thinking that it would be Thursday, which I have my group, and we're going to meet in person starting like the first weekend of every month in Shirley's shop. And so I was thinking we would do this on Thursday. And if you wanted to be a part of it, and I don't know if they'll let everyone take a vote, if they prefer it just be me doing the coaching the way I typically do it, or having you be a part of it, if they feel like maybe sometimes, or I don't know, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But then also that being on Thursday, and then our retreat would be Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
And so it would be in LA.
Yeah.
Both.
Looking at LA.
How perfect, right? Like
Los Angeles.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
It lights me up. Like it's
Yeah.
something that I've thought about and planned. And I even have a wait list for a retreat, but I just never actually started creating it. And then it's creating itself since the ceremony.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And what I'll be offering there is this treatment that we talked about that Shirley was receiving, and also Annette that was receiving. And the way that comes out is the validation of me regrouping and reoffering that. I haven't done it in like over 2.5 years. I haven't done it. I moved away from that treatment. It was just not something that at the time was meeting my needs or meeting humanity's needs. So I stopped doing it. And then to be able to offer it intuitively to Rita has led into me really stepping into bringing that treatment back, which is a lot aligned to the Navajo traditions, this thing called hand trembling, and also the contemporary practice of pressure points, and then also working with the energy in that sense. So it's been really, really nice to be able to do that. So this is a treatment that I'll be offering regularly during those retreats. And then also in our Navajo traditions, we always say that medicine, everything, all types of medicine, songs, teachings, sage, plant medicine, all of this stuff is medicine. It's been given to humanity by a female deity. So my first treatment coming back was by a female who received it. And in that way, it's an alignment as to how I think from a universal standpoint is saying yes, you know.
It's amazing how like just by seeing that I needed it, or feeling that the universe was like guiding you to serve and offer, and you thought that you were supposed to offer the charcoal from the ceremony to someone, and then you just started walking toward, and then you stopped and said, Rita, would you how did you even ask me? I don't even remember, but like you offered basically this energy treatment.
Yeah.
And then Jacob was in the pool right at our toward the side, and he said, I would take him up on that if I were you. And I was like, let's go. And we just went over to that table, the massage table that happened to be there. The sun was shining, the birds were chirping, the lawnmowers started running like crazy, and the wind started blowing like crazy, and a fly landed on my lip. Like, you guys, it was so like we were co-creating with nature.
Mm-hmm.
It was magic.
Mm-hmm.
My mind was blown the entire time. At different like points, he was pressing on my body, like my feet or my legs, and he's maneuvering my leg because my root chakra is completely blocked, like no flow at all. And for a very, very, very valid reason, which I shared with you on the table, bawled my eyes, crying. Anytime like he worked somewhere, I started crying or started talking about something. So it was like very in alignment, very connected with the energy centers.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that the body has like spiritual like energy centers or spots where he was pressing or massaging, and it was moving the stuck emotions, and I was releasing. So Shirley said, I had no idea that you hadn't been doing them until I listened to the podcast today. That's why I'm wearing red today. Oh,
Beautiful. Yeah. So you're the second to receive it, Shirley.
Yeah, you're the second to receive, and then Anat was here, and she was the third. And you know what's really funny is that you offered, you're like, I'm going to be in LA, and if there's, I could do 3 sessions for people in your network, Rita. And I just put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like try to find you people or anything. I put it out there, and I shared my experience briefly. And if whoever was called came to, and it happened
Mm-hmm.
for the people that needed it and were called to it.
Yeah.
And it's magical how that even happened. And I'm so grateful that like you were in the LA area and you got to serve my client.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah. She did great. Shirley did great.
So proud of you, Shirley. And so with that, I want to like cut it off here for the podcast. I think that was good, but I want to delve into our forums and get some hot seat going. So going through our questions, you're welcome to stay if you'd like.
Absolutely.
Well, that's it. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed part 2. There will definitely be a part 3. And Ron and I have put together a retreat that is happening June 2nd through the 5th. On the 2nd, it'll be my group coaching live in person, which is really exciting. And if you sign up, we only have about 8 spots left at the time of this recording. If you do sign up and you pay in full, you get access to my group coaching program for the entire month of June. And you get a kit, a welcome box with all my favorite things, especially a journal, a pen, crystals, sage, made by Ron, handmade, which is amazing, and more. So with that, I will leave you. I love you. Thank you for listening. I hope this served you. Post a review and let us know what you love about this podcast or what this episode brought for you. DM me, let me know, connect with us in the Facebook community, on Instagram at rawveganrita and at ron_interpreter. We love to connect with you and hear how this episode may have served you. And we'll see you next week. Bye.